long division, the traditional algorithm. Just like when we learned multiplication, we had several different ways to multiply large numbers. We're going to do the same thing with long division. We'll learn at least two different ways to divide large numbers. And remember that an algorithm is just steps to follow to solve a problem. And the traditional algorithm is probably the way that your parents learned division, and you might have even learned division this way last year too. So we are looking at this problem, 84 divided by 3. Remember, this is our dividend on the inside. We're starting with 84 of something, and then we can think about either dividing that into 3 groups or into groups of 3. Either one will work. So our first step, if we're going to use the traditional algorithm, is to divide. We're going to ask ourselves, how many times can the divisor go into the first digit of the dividend? So let's look at what that means over here. We are going to forget the 4 for a minute and ask ourselves, how many times can the 3 go into the 8? Now if you're not sure what that means, go into the 8. Here's 2 ways you can think about it. First, you might think about how many 3s are in 8. Well, we could pull out 1 3, we could pull out another 3, that would be 6, but we can't pull out a third 3 because that would be 9, and we don't have 9 to pull out. So 3 can go into 8 2 times because there are 2 groups of 3 in 8. Another way to think about it is to say the multiples of 3 without going over. 3, 6, notice that I have 2 fingers up. If I were to say 9, I've gone over the 8, so 2 is the most that I can do. So 2 is, when I divide, 3 goes into 8 2 times. And I put my answer above the first digit of the dividend. I divide it into 8, so that 2 needs to go right over top of the 8. That's going to be important. Alright, so I already divided. Now I'm going to do the second step, which is to multiply. I'm going to multiply the digit I just wrote down by the divisor. And I'm going to put my product, remember that's an answer to a multiplication problem, under the first digit of the dividend. So all I'm going to do in step 2 is multiply what I just got times, sometimes it helps to put a little multiplication sign there, 3 times 2, and put my answer right here, which, remember when we counted by 3s, 3, 6, 6 was the number that we landed on. And then we'll see what the next step is. Getting all excited and ready to move on. Let's see what the next step is on the next slide. So the next step is to subtract. We've already divided and then multiplied. Now we're going to subtract. So remember that I had a 2 up here, and I multiplied 2 times 3 to get 6. I'm going to subtract the product that I wrote here from the first digit of the dividend. So I'm going to do 8 minus 6 is 2, and I have 2 left over to work with. In step 4, after you divide, multiply, subtract, now you're going to bring down. I'm going to bring down the next digit of the dividend. So the next digit in my dividend is a 4, and I'm going to bring it down here right beside this number that I got as my difference between 8 and 6. So I'm going to put a 4 there. So I bring down just one digit at a time. And then step 5, I have to repeat those steps as many times as necessary. So next I'm going to see how many times does the divisor go into the number at the bottom. So I just gotten this 24, remember, by bringing down the 4. And now I'm seeing how many times does the 3 go into this number, the 24 down here. Well, for this one, I like the multiples way to figure it out. So I'm going to count by 3s and see how many 3s I can get up to without going over 24. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. Ooh, I got right to 24. So 3 goes into 24 8 times. So I can put the 8 up there. Now, remember I've put the letters here for divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down, those 4 steps that we saw on the previous slides. You might help you to think about some way to remember those if you don't already have those in your brain. Some people say dad, mom, sister, brother. I've heard somebody use Dunbar Middle School Band, and you might be able to think of something even cooler. for DMSB, but somehow remember those steps in order to help you keep track of where you are in the problem. Okay, so I'm on multiply. Now I'm going to multiply the last number you just wrote up top here times the divisor. Sometimes people get confused and want to do both numbers times the divisor. I'm doing this 8 times the 3, and I'm going to put my product here. Now I need to subtract the 24 minus 24, which is 0. When there are no more numbers to bring down, see I have nothing else left beside the 4, you are done. But if I had had another number here, I would have brought it down and kept on going through these steps. But once there are no more numbers to bring down, then I'm done. If I have any left over at the bottom, this is the remainder. Since I got 0 here, I know that I have no remainder. But if I had subtracted at this last step and had something other than 0, that would be my remainder, and I would put it up here. So in this case, my remainder is just 0, so you don't even have to write that. So I would want to check my work. That's really important, especially at the beginning when you're getting used to division. Check your work to see if it makes sense. Remember, you can always multiply the divisor times the quotient. That's the number on the outside times the answer. And so I did 28 times 3 here, and if you get your dividend, so I got 84, which is the number that I started with, I know that I'm correct. So now we're going to try it with two numbers. We're going to do another 2-digit problem and then a 3-digit problem. I would encourage you, if you feel up for it, pause the video, try these two, and then see if you got the same answer that I did. Or you could also do one at a time. Try this one, watch it, pause it, try this one, and then go back and watch it. So let's get started. First I'm going to, it helps me to write down my steps. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. So I'm going to divide, and I'm going to say how many times can 6 go into 9? Well, if I think about the multiples of 6, 6, 12, oh, I'm already too many, so it can only go in once. Then I'm going to even put checks to see where I am. Now I'm going to multiply. 1 times 6 is 6, so I just multiplied. Now I'm going to subtract. 9 minus 6 is 3. And now I'm going to bring down the next number, which is a 7. Now I'm going to go back up to, just brought down, I'm going to go back up to the top and start dividing again and ask myself, how many times can 6 go into 37? I'm going to count by 6s. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. I can't do another one because that would be too many. It would go over 37. So 6 went into 37 6 times. 6, all right, so I just divided again. Now I'm going to multiply. 6 times 6 is 36. Now I'm going to, so I've just multiplied, now I'm going to subtract. 37 minus 36 is 1. Now I'm going to see, is there anything else left to bring down? There's nothing left to bring down. So this number here is my remainder. So my answer is 16, remainder 1. This means that, for example, if I had $97 and I wanted to share them among 6 friends, each friend would get $16 and then there would be $1 left over. So let's check our work. This time we're going to see that I can check it by multiplying my divisor times my quotient, or my answer, and then I'm going to add the remainder to see if I've gotten the right answer. So I'm going to do 16, my answer, times the divisor. Remember, it doesn't matter the order that you do these in, thanks to the commutative property of multiplication. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. And then I add that remainder, and I get 97. It works, because I got the same thing that I started with as my dividend. Now let's try a 3-digit problem. And remember, you want to do one number at a time. So you really are just, at the very beginning, thinking about 6 divided by 4. So divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. So I'm asking myself, how many times can 4 go into 6? 4, 8, 8's too many, so it could only go in one time. There's only one group of 4 inside 6. Now I'm going to multiply. 1 times 4 is 4. Now I'm going to subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. Now I'm going to bring down just one number, so bring down that 3. Now I'm going to go back up to the top and divide. And I'm going to ask myself, how many times can 4 go into 23? I'm going to count by 4s. Well, let's all count together. Count by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Ooh, 24 is too many. That went over 23. So I'm going to back up one and see that it can go in 5 times. Then I'm going to multiply. So just divide it a second time. Now I'm going to multiply. 5 times 4 makes 20. Now I'm going to subtract. 23 minus 20 would just be 3. Just subtract it. Now I have to bring down the next number, which is a 2. Bring it all the way down here. And now I'm going to see how many times can 4 go into 32. Back up to dividing one more time. Just brought down. Oh, let's all count together. Count by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and 32. Oh, it goes in exactly 8 times. So 8 times 4 is 32. So I divided a third time. Now I'm multiplying a third time. Now I'm getting ready to subtract a third time. 32 minus 32 is 0. And then I look to see if I have any more numbers to bring down. I don't have anything left to bring down. And I also have no remainder of 0. So the quotient is 158. And I would, of course, check my work by doing the answer times the divisor. And here is 158 times 4. I got a product of 632, which is the same thing as my dividend. That means that we got it right.